So during solution treatment, so now whatever we have done the treatment, we call it as a solution heat treatment. All the solute atoms are dissolved to form a single phase alpha solution. So on quenching rapidly, it will result into the supersaturated solution, that is a non-equilibrium phase. Now this is a diffusionless process because we are not giving any time to take diffusion to take place. So as we are quenching immediately, it will retain a single phase solid solution. Now this is not stable phase. The quenched solution is not stable. What happens? Whatever the secondary phase is there that tries to come precipitates out. Now what do we do now is we'll do a aging treatment. Aging treatment is nothing but reheating the quenched alloy. So now this is your solid solution treatment. This is intermediate first heating, and then what here it is supersaturated solid solution, and then you're giving a aging treatment to an intermediate temperatures, not very high temperature. Whenever heating and soaking and then cooling, it will result into the, that is we call it as an annealing technique only. Whenever we are reheating an alloy less than the 723 degrees, that is we call it as an annealing treatment. And then what happens, whatever the precipitates are there, that will form along the grain boundaries of this alloy. So along the grain boundaries, the precipitates try to nucleate and form along the grain boundaries of the particular alpha alloy. Now on given time on aging treatment, the precipitates along the grain boundaries will form in the grains. So like this, the precipitate tries to come out of the grain boundaries and forms along the grains in grains boundaries. Now what is this overaging, we call it as. Now these precipitates, whenever they try to come out of the solvent atom, the one or two will coalesce each other and forms a bigger tiny precipitate. So these large precipitates will replace the tiny precipitates, and this will take place. So this will occur at over period of time. That means longer aging period or aging time will give you the coarser precipitates. That means the tiny precipitates or very fine precipitates are replaced by coarser precipitates, in which this will result in the decreasing of the hardness, because these fine precipitates will hinder the dislocation moment and then increases the strength as well as hardness, whereas coarse precipitates, again it will induces the ductility. So here there is no option of strength or hardness is being increased. Only whenever you are having the fine precipitates, strength and hardness will be increased. So now on this heat treatment, what do you understand? Whenever you are holding a quenched supersaturated solid solution, the copper atoms will try to precipitate along the matrix of the aluminum. This is what the simple age hardening treatment is there. So what are the steps you are supposed to remember? One is the solid solution should decrease with decrease in temperature, and then more amount of solute atom should be there, that will give rise to secondary phase. Matrix should be ductile, and the precipitate, whatever the alloy we are adding, that should be hard and brittle. So first treatment is solution treatment. So solution treatment means heating to one such temperature and higher temperature such that all the solute and solvent atoms are dissolved in single phase, resulting into the alpha. From there you are supposed to quench this alpha solid solution immediately, which results in supersaturated solution. Again, if you reheat this quenched alloy, your precipitates are formed along the grain boundaries. On a period of time, the precipitates are formed along the alloy. Now what is the difference we can see because of this aging? Like according to the strength, hardness and tensile strength, what are the graphs that we can refer from this age hardening treatment is, so aging time versus tensile strength. So what happens to the tensile strength? Properties of particular alloy on age hardening. So these are the zones, different zones that undergone to the aging time. So this tensile strength will increase at very slow point. So at sudden after certain time it diminishes very rapidly. That means this is the strength is decreased because of overaging. That means ductility is induced, or maybe some other reasons, because of coarser grains or coarser precipitates the strength has been decreased, whereas the fine precipitates will lead to the increase in tensile strength of the alloy. So these are the different zones, that is theta, these are the precipitates, theta, theta dash, theta double dash and GP zones are the different precipitates that are formed and that gives rise to strength of a particular alloy. Now aging, temperature versus strength, this is time. Now we'll discuss about the temperature. What temperature should we decide for a particular alloy? What temperature is desirable? That is all depends upon the temperature we take, and depend upon the aging time. It will give rise to the strength. Now if you are taking around 260, so we are not going to the high temperatures. So remember, aging is then intermediate temperatures we are going to take, not very high temperature. Only we are just making the diffusion of precipitates to grow into the matrix. So what happens if we go to the high temperature? Again it will result into the same single phase Hahlwas solution. We don't want two phases, we want only the precipitates to disperse along the matrix. So if we take around 260 degrees temperature, the strength is decreasing. Around 200 if you take, the strength is also decreasing, and around 149 it is increasing and decreasing rapidly, and 121 is the safest temperature. That means the low temperature, if you are taking for an reheating of an quenched alloy, that is preferable, that is giving rise to the high strength. So for increasing the strength, different alloys can be determined, different alloys can be taken, and different temperatures, if you correlate each other, whatever the low temperature is there, that will show you the high strength of the particular alloy. Now next, ductility. What happens to the ductility? Now usually if strength is high, the ductility is reduced, or if the hardness is very high, the ductility is reduced. So it is the duration of the precipitation hardening heat treatment versus ductility. So the same temperatures, if you are taking 260, it shows a continuation line. That means there is no much change in ductility. Around 200 there is a rapid decrease, 149 decrease, and 121 shows a drastic decrease in the ductility, whereas here there is an increase in strength. Now what about hardness? Now let us take the hardness versus temperature aging. So if you are taking around 100 degrees, your hardness is being very low, that is around 90 only. And if it is you are taking 60 degrees temperature around 60 degrees, your hardness is little increased. If you are going for a very low temperature, your hardness is increased very rapidly. So again you can refer that low aging temperature will result in the high hardness, high strength, and ductility is reduced. In this way you can improve the strength of a particular alloy. That means lightweight aluminum alloys and copper alloys, whatever are there, you can improve the strength of the particular alloy by aging treatment. So this is very simple. Now we have a continuous and discontinuous precipitation. What is continuous precipitation? If the precipitates are formed inside the grains, this we call it as a continuous precipitation. Discontinuous precipitation is nothing but if it is crossing over the grain boundaries, we call it as a discontinuous precipitation. And then we have classification of precipitation. One is coherent precipitation, non-coherent precipitation, semi-coherent precipitation. Coherent precipitation means you are having a matrix of an atoms, solute and solvent atoms, right? So these are all solvent atoms, and your solute atoms is nothing but the precipitates that are formed along your arrangement of atoms. Now say suppose these are the solute atoms, that is copper atoms is this one, and then aluminum atoms is this one. So if it matches the matrix, this precipitate matches the matrix of the arrangement of atoms, we call it as an coherent precipitation. Non-coherent precipitation means exactly opposite of coherent precipitation, that does not match the lattice of an atoms. That means that will give rise to some other matrix. So these are all precipitates. So there is no matching of the atoms of solute and solvent atoms. This is called non-coherent precipitation. Now next we have is semi-coherent. Semi-coherent means the name itself tells that very slight matching of the matrix and the precipitates. That means, now say suppose like this it is there. So not exactly to that of coherent precipitation, but very similar matching of precipitates has been formed. So this is how the solvent atoms, precipitates are the solute atoms. So that's all. Any doubts can be asked through WhatsApp.